Photographers are like windshield wipers. They're always looking left to right all over the place. They can be easily replaced with AI or anything bought in your local Sears department store. And they're afraid of water. It doesn't mean if 5 of them came to me for help, I'd refuse. I'll help them right now, actually.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So we're on the Sony ZVE1 with a Zeiss 18mm 2.8 in a field of flowers. Sony Color Science flowers. And we're gonna do a bunch of switches today for each question. Right now we're just in standard profile with dynamic range boosted to 5. Top-down sun lighting preferred in some cultures. Switch to log, and then a bunch of the weird cine bullshit modes Sony thinks is hip for Gen Z. We're in dynamic active stab. Be careful on that one. First question, XH2S for GH7. Thoughts? I said Virch. It's not a word. You do remember that I sold the Fuji XH2S for the Panasonic GH6. Let that sink in. A non-phase detecting Panasonic camera, and I was blown away at how much better it was. There's so many reasons. I've already reviewed it, so go watch it. Why I sold the XH2S. Clickbaity asshole I am. It's just, there's several reasons. 1, 4K 120 not cropped in the Panasonic GH6 or 7. So like, you think you're getting aps-c, oh, it's a bigger sensor, but if you want to shoot high frame rates, your HD 240 has a 38% crop, and Panasonic has no crop in 300 frames per second, but then you lose the autofocus, and that's abysmal and damaging to your egotistical testicle. I just hated how noisy that XH2S 240 frames per second footage was. But otherwise, I don't know, Fuji's kind of better, but then their autofocus gets worse on every update. So like, what can we even trust about them? Like, who's even making those firmwares? How does it get worse and worse every time? Thanks to Edvard for discovering that it's just, he goes back in history and time travels and somehow gets the older firmware through a scientist, and it costs him a lot of money, so go subscribe to his channel. He does the work that we need. If it's me right now, GH7, oh God, that's a hard one. Because we know for wildlife, Fuji 500mm coming. Panasonic doesn't even have a prime over 200mm. I don't know, man. But like, I kind of think since I liked the GH6 more than the XH2S, I would also love the GH7 even more. I feel like Fuji just has a better look to them though. Just better skin tones, but sometimes I disagree with myself on that one. I don't even know, man. It's just, if Panasonic would just let the 300 frames per second autofocus, phase detect, animal eye detect in that mode, then you'd have like, wow, I'd be considering you. I'd actually consider it. Barely, but somewhat. Okay, we're now in log. Stopped it down to 24.5 to somewhat compensate for the ISO. And my shutter speed is a respectable 2000. Properly explained in your film school. Hey, what's your take on Canon R7? Want to buy it? Don't. Oh my God. How do I get afraid of a butterfly? Why didn't I let it land on me? It scared me. Yeah, come. Come back. Oh, I'll never get that chance again. Here's the reality that you're missing with the R7. Tiny full frame has caught up. We have cameras like the Sony ZVE1, the Canon R8, the Nikon Z5. Wow, I can't believe I even threw that up out of my mouth. It's so outdated. But like, they're tiny, man. Come on, and they're not even like, I think they're cheaper. The R8 is so cheap. It's like cheaper than the R7, I think. Don't quote me on that. But like, aps-c, what are you even doing? They have no lenses. At least you'll get your Sigma primes, because that's all Canon's allowing for you. But like, come on, man. It's full frame over here. This camera, ZVE1, is cheaper than it's a bit more money than the A6700, cheaper than the FX30, and everything else. aps-c, almost. Like Fuji XH2S. Hey!
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
You doing YouTube?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you. Do you have a camera?
No.
No?
A cell phone.
Yeah.
So, what kind of channel would that be?
This is a camera channel.
So, you're a YouTuber? Or?
Yeah, YouTube.
Oh,
I
so
talk about cameras and
cameras.
yeah.
Oh, I used to have a brother-in-law. He went to all the camera shows.
Oh yeah?
In US.
Nice.
He got lots of cameras.
Yeah?
Oh, one of course.
Nice.
But then he passed away, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
What phone do you have?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, just a Samsung.
Samsung what? S24 Ultra Max?
No.
Pro?
Older.
Okay.
Pro is good.
Yeah.
The Pro one, I think you can get into the water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So, are you a lot of followers?
A little bit. 150,000.
Ooh.
Hey, thank you. I'm so famous. And yes, I realize I was not in the same focal plane as him, and Sony was putting boxes on him. I should have realigned, but I was starstruck by him. You could get by with the R7. I guarantee you if I tried it, I'd be blown away by Canon color science and a Sigma lens. Oh, it's so much sharper than my 3D pop lenses. Oh, this is the best. 3D pop's a myth. It's possible. I'll give you that potential reality in an alternate dimension, but I've seen that it struggles with autofocus. It's cripple hammered pretty hard. It has a nipple, I think. Is that the one with the nipple on the back? Just hold your money. Donate Bitcoin to your favorite friend. It's much better. He's on a one wheel. I'm now a movie. I didn't want to alarm you this way, but we're in Cinetone Gold in cinematic mode, so it put some black bars on my ass. I think we're still in dynamic stave. I don't know if it turns that off automatically. I'm wide open now at 2.8 because you can't be a movie without a super blurry background, and none of your environment is contextualized in your underpants. Which camera brand produces the easiest to edit video files? Which brands make hard to edit video files? Should I avoid? So, is there any video editing software you recommend for beginners? Don't be paranoid. I'm the one who's paranoid about that. I had my PC built by a guy he was more of a gaming PC guy, and he pretended to know what video editing specs I might need, and I don't know, he made more of a budget machine. That was 2019, and it was pretty cheap. It was like $2,400. That made me really awkward and nervous. There's a lot of teenage girls looking at me. Oh my God. So, my computer kind of sucks, but I can still play frickin' 4 4K 120p files all on top of each other from Sony. I can do 2 stacked Nikon 6K 60p RAW files, no problem. So it's not my fault when I complain about these things. It's your codecs, certain companies. So Canon R5 has rectified that with its XF-AVC-S codec, but Fuji is still hard. 6K open gate, I struggle with that one. Panasonic, your 6K 60, that's a huffer and a puffer. So the easiest to edit, I think Sony's amazing. Blackmagic RAW is super amazing. Anything that shoots ProRes is super easy to edit, but also super large files. Bigger than Nikon RAW files, that's what we're at. When I shoot RAW, I do it on the lower setting. There's 2, there's a high, there's a normal. That's where I live, in the normal. It's 700 megabits per second. I'm in the shade. I don't even remember my PC specs, but I made a video about it. My PC, just search PC camera conspiracies, you'll see it. There's pretty low end specs, but good enough. 32 gigs of RAM, an RTX something, 1080. But I've never struggled with Sony. Nikon is very good. Canon, if you do the 8-bit, is super fine. It's all the hard stuff, 10-bit with 422 in log. Then it's an H.265, and it's oh my God, you need a Mac. Any M1 Mac for $20 will do it, but if you're PC life, It's different. It doesn't only do 6K, it does 6K 12-bit RAW and ProRes 422 internally at readout speeds 9 milliseconds with no overheating. Sounds like something only nerds would care about, and in the real world, it's like, do you see any of those difference between 8-bit and 12-bit? Guarantee ya. I'll do it a little side-by-side later with Nikon. 8-bit, nothing, straight out of camera versus 12-bit RAW. It's like, I guess I don't really see. Like, it's only for people who color grade heavily with masks. I don't even see it, like myself. What are you doing? That beats my A7S III. And blows everything Sony has out of the water, including their cinema line. And Nikon is not even marketing it for cinema. Thoughts? I think you're an overzealous hippie with no reality basis in reality. Can Nikon do this? Are you? Whoa, that lav mic is stretching. I need a longer lav mic. Man, we're in center framing mode. This is the mode I thought I tried before, but it wasn't this. It's good. It's dynamic. So yeah, it's amazing. Like, I like the Nikon RAW file. It's easy to edit. I like that. It looks nice. It's very noisy. So like, good luck denoising that. That takes hours. But I don't denoise it, so I don't care. Like, I'm on YouTube here. I'm not, oh, please buy my Netflix movie. I don't care about your life. So like, I just like that it's, I don't even know why I like RAW, if I'm being 100% honest with you. I assume it has more dynamic range, but the Z6 III is like the worst for that. I don't know what it even does. It's just, you can change the white balance with no downsides. That's kind of neat, but who cares? Did I reach it? RAW is stupid, but like, I fell in love with it when I had my little black magic and it did RAW, and I was like, oh my god, it looks so much better. It's because of the RAW. Probably not. It's just black magic color science was nice, even back then. Better than this? Nothing is. Sony ZVE1. But all the YouTube monkeys get excited over these little specs, and every review you watch is just repeating the same spec sheet over and over again, and I'm just like begging the guy with my mind to just go use the camera and show me what it does instead of reading what I already know. I read the spec sheet, came to your video to repeat myself. Are you believing that? What was that? Is he walking into my shot? Oh, that was rude. See, that's Sony technology for you. You can hide people from your shot. Was that your question? All right, last question here. We're on vivid profile with everything maxed out, saturation, sharpness, fade +1, highlights boosted, shadows drained. Wouldn't it be better to adapt an older EF FX telephoto prime to the A7S III instead of buy the Z lens with the Nikon Z6 III? No. I have to eat a bit of humble pie here, admittedly. So I've been saying for years that, like, Tamron Sigma lenses, they don't sync stave with your IBIS. What are you even doing? For photos, it works fine, but for video, it's super jerky and shaky. And then one of you jabrones sent me some footage of, I think it was like a 50 to 400 Tamron bullshit lens, but it was with the FX3 or Sony ZVE1 maybe, and it was stable as hell. In slow motion, it was fine. So like, I guess not all lenses don't sync, but Canon EF lenses definitely don't. So like, you're dumb, but like most of you, okay, you're still like in a Tamron Sigma universe, which is disgusting to even think about, but there are squirrels up here that I'm about to see if animal eye detect works on. I don't know, man, like, your options are dumb. The Nikon was super expensive, but it was worth it. I know it's like a bit out of reach for most people. It's stupid to even spend that kind of money, but I love doing it. I love going out in nature, and it's like, why not have something you really enjoy? And it's like super light, the autofocus is great, it balanced perfectly. I like the footage, the colors, it's like super slow-mo. It's like, all right, yeah, that was a well worth it price. So be yourself. Would the Canon lens look even nicer? You would need a monopod, and I've debunked those, didn't I? It wasn't even that stable using it. So like, unless you get one of those video-centric tripods that are super heavy, it's like, you're bringing that with you? Grow up. So it's like, no, obviously not. Z6 III is the best. Not as good as this. Look at that sky. That's a sky right there. So I'm gonna leave. Thank you all so much for the Bitcoin donations. I'm loving this ZVE1. Just how light it is, and it's basically my A7S III. What's not to love? And it has more fun modes in it. I just need a longer lav mic, and then we can run around. I doubt you can do it in 240 frames per second, but whatever. You cripple it. You have a hammer too. I get it. Subscribe for more videos. See you next.